Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hello, everybody. I have an interesting question here from Matthias. And Matthias writes, "Hey, Cappy, I'm a 21-year-old guy from Norway with an IQ of around 150, and I struggle to find internal happiness. You are without a doubt my biggest idol because you have the answers to all my questions I've had for so long. I wish I had all the answers to all the questions. I do not. Unfortunately, as I've said before, some questions have no answers and some problems have no solutions. And so that is a problem unto itself. You're just such a smart guy. You have really helped me, he is from Norway. You have really helped to get life in the right direction. I recently got into computer programming, which is the greatest thing ever. I want to make a career out of it, and I have stopped using drugs." Awesome. But what I want to know is how you find happiness on a daily basis. You don't seem happy to me. Yeah, right. There's I'm about 50-50, I won't lie. Because everything I'm going to tell you is 100% true, but it's all theoretical and academic. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to practice it. And there are just so many damn stupid people in this world, man, where it's just, you cannot be happy every day. You're like, what the fuck? Just what the fuck? I've been getting happier over time because of not necessarily meditation, but realizing I don't control certain things, stoicism, stuff like that. But I don't know if, let's put it this way, no one is always happy all the time. That's not normal. Some people are sad, some people are happy. Depends on what's going on in your life. But I'm about as happy as it's going to get, which for me is huge. You know you are going to die and that you're halfway through your finite life. What gets you up in the morning and what truly fulfills you? Okay, so I put some thought into this and kind of organized it. And there's what I found works. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. 6 things. But the first one is going to be the most important one because some of these are just opinion and they happen to work for me. But they may not work for you, though I can't see why they wouldn't work for you. But it doesn't matter. The key thing, regardless of your tastes or preferences, for all smart people, and I'd say people in general, the key to happiness is accepting reality. Now, as it pertains to smart people, 3 subcategories that I further detailed this out into. Things that you have to accept about reality. 1, you're going to die. You are finite. That is what gets me up in the morning. That is what makes me appreciate every day that I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to do this. Like yesterday when I was hungover, I was pissed. Because I didn't think I didn't drink that much. It's just my body hasn't adapted to not drinking for so long. That an entire day was gone, wasted, and I'm like, shit, and I was pissed off. I'm still in a pissed off mood because I didn't capitalize on that day. But I realize every day I'm going to die, could die earlier than later, and so that is what gives me value to get up in the day. I've even been getting up earlier, especially not drinking. I've been getting up earlier to go and do stuff, get things done, and then go have fun. So that's what really drives me. Is accepting that reality that you're going to die. This will end. And so that should give you the impetus to get your ass out of bed and go do shit. Second reality is for smart people, you have to accept that there are no solutions. And what I mean by that is that there's no group of people for you. There's no nation of smart people. The world is filled predominantly with dumb morons and normies. You're going to have people driving slow in the left lane. Society's not going to get it. We're never going back to 1950s America. Don't expect to find your group of people in adequate numbers. Stop looking for a solution to your problem. I just haven't figured it out yet. And a lot of that it comes from being brought up with the rest of society. You think, here's a perfect example where you try to force yourself to fit in. Like everyone goes to a concert. And they get all excited, they went to a concert. And then you go to a concert this is boring. There's nothing, I can listen to that same song, but it's got a lot better acoustics back at home without all these people and this annoyance. But that's you try, and then you try going out anyway. You try going to loud parties and getting drunk. You try doing what normal people do. You try going to the game, you try and eat some wings and drink some beer, you're like this, oh, I'm at a football game. Well, I'm at what is it, the Emmys award or Oscar party. And you're like, what the fuck is this? That is you not accepting reality. That's you treating yourself like a normal person. And your brain just, it's milk, not milk, it's oil and water. It's just not going to jive. You're not going to mix with these people. So is there a chance, like let's say in kind of a academic setting, or you work at NASA, or you work at Intel, where your peer group is like kind of what's it called? Not Blackadder. Big Bang Theory type of people, and even that's TV. Could you find it where you're going to find some smart people? Yeah, and it does happen in school, where you take all the people of the land and force them to go to school. College even more so, where you got 50,000 people on a campus. Then you'll find some friends, but it's almost misleading because that's never going to happen again. That environment ends, and then you're dumped down in the real world, and then what really few intelligent people you did find or meet, they're spread across the globe and you just don't see them. So that's the second thing, is do not try to find your people. Don't try and think, oh, they're just around the corner. I haven't figured it out yet. No, you're a statistical freak. You're an oddity. Accept that. Certainly go and try and find some other intelligent people. Join Mensa if you want. But I have found, even just because people are smart doesn't mean you're going to want to hang out with them. I mean, they could be jerks, or you just don't get along with their personality. They could be boring. So don't think that smart is that. It's just you're already statistically ostracized from the rest of society. Don't think that there's something that you could change within yourself that'll allow you to, I finally figured out the fun. Oh, it's wearing Nike high tops that makes me accepted into your culture. I see, and now I have intellectual stimulation. Now I understand why you idiots go to see Milli Vanilli. This is slamming on the 80s kids and 90s kids. And then the third thing and this is one I wrestle with every day, maybe not every day, but more recently, is you just have to accept you're not going to achieve what you're capable of. You're not. You're going to achieve excellence. You're going to, in a sense, you're going to achieve what you're going to be capable of within the limitations of this world. All right? The world, the planet, is just one chain with a lot of links, and the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And there's a lot of motherfucking weak links out there. And it could be driving, it could be having to take all these stupid prerequisite classes. Another perfect example, I don't know what it is like in Norway, but here in the United States, like to pass and skip grades, like they kind of shun that. So they're kind of like, oh no, you got to stay with your age group. Everything's about your age group. It's like, yeah, but this kid operates like literally at a level 5 years older than him. Why are you holding him back? Doesn't matter. We have to have it this way. We have to have this. So it could be your boss. It could be your coworkers, group projects in college, whatever. Society is not going to let you go as fast because there's always going to be people in your way and holding you back, right? Unless you're very lucky to work at a NASA or somewhere, it's like, here's the resources, get this shit done. In general, you're just not going to achieve the most that you can. So don't get upset. Don't get worked up. You can certainly have disdain and a contempt for the normies. This is where I'm starting to evolve my new philosophy and theory about, okay, there's a lot of weak chains or weak links in this chain, and so the chain I can form is not going to be that strong. What if I were to start taking advantage of these weak links and profiting off of them? At least I get something out of that, right? So that's a little bit more do you want to be evil kind of philosophy. But I do know, asking the question, why can't I, another example would be, I could have stopped the housing market collapse. I could have stopped the financial crisis. No, there's too many weak links that wanted to believe in perpetually increasing housing prices. There were too many weak links that wanted their sales commission on the closing of different deals. There were too many weak links that wanted to develop houses that weren't going to sell because it'd get them more cash so they could buy a Beamer and impress their trophy wife. There were too many more weak links than were strong links. That society was just they were bound. We were going to have a dot-com crash. We were going to have a tulip bulb crash. We were going to have a housing crash. And it's foolish to think that you could stop it. So that's another thing. So accepting this reality that you're not going to achieve what you can, you're not going to find your people, and that you are going to die. That is what is, it's sanity. It's accepting reality. And when you accept reality, then you can make decisions that are based in reality that are actually going to have production at the end of it. You will make progress. Whereas if you base decisions in falsehoods and lies and things you'd like to think are true, that is a guaranteed way to make sure that you live in misery. So it may suck to acknowledge and admit that you're a statistical odd freak. It may suck to admit that chances of you finding a lifelong peer group of friends or a woman that is equivalent to you of an intelligence, or that you're going to actually achieve what you know you're personally capable of, failing to realize those things aren't going to happen will drive you insane. So that's the first thing, is accept, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's what I can and cannot do in the real world. Now, going forward from that, as long as you know that, you're going to at least have sanity, and that's the first step to happiness. So the next thing I find that's kind of important in my life is excellence. Now, excellence in once, you just said, well, I'm not going to achieve what I'm capable of, right? But you can still achieve excellence, especially by today's standards of fucktards and normies. I mean, shit, if you don't have credit card debt, you're amazing. If you can run a mile at the age of 40 and you're not obese, you're amazing. I mean, the standards are so low to achieve excellence by today's standard. I mean, so most people can achieve excellence in some capacity. Smart people are typically going to be doing something a little bit more intellectual, but it doesn't have to be that. For example, I'm an excellent motorcycle rider. I'm an excellent hiker. And and you could certainly be, I'm an excellent accountant. It could be your career. But it's not necessarily your career. It's something that you personally like to do that you match to your standards. Like, I want to do a 14,000 foot peak. And I'm not good at high altitudes. And so I did one, and it sucked. And I had a little bit of altitude sickness, but I did it. I got up that high. But that was my own personal standard. I wanted to drive to Alaska. I did drive to Alaska. It was a great experience. And what will slowly happen is, as you pursue these journeys of excellence, in whatever capacity or regards, you will build up a legacy. And then you could say, oh, I drove here and did that, or I went out and did that. And what you'll start to realize is, kind of like diamonds or gold, the rarer accomplishments are the ones that have value. Because let's just admit, there's not that many people that ride a motorcycle to Alaska. That's not to say, oh, no one can do it. It's just, it's one of the rarer things. And people are like, oh, you did? That's an interesting experience. Like, yeah, it was. I stimulated my mind going down this path people had not typically done before. And then when you find people who do that, look up Heiterize. Then you have somebody like, oh, hey, you're a unique character too who did the exact same experience. That's awesome. How was it driving Highway 93 between Banff and Glacier? So, and then also hobbies. I write. I try to write excellent books. Like, when I write, I try to make sure that they're not short, but they're succinct, they're concise, and that it's excellent writing. It's conveying as much as it can with as few words as possible. That it's brevity, it's brief. And so then again, oh, here's a book. I have some legacy. So whatever it is that you want to do. You could write a code, or you could write a program for an app that you're developing because you like programming. And then you could point and say, yeah, look, I wrote this app. And then 60,000 people downloaded it. It wasn't Angry Birds, but 60,000 people downloaded it. People, oh, yeah, you did, yeah. So that excellence in whatever field that interests you, that also gives you meaning and purpose in life. And so, like, right now, I'm looking forward to a motorcycle ride I'm going to take out west, do a little bit of hiking, and probably go to different hikes I've never done before, maybe try and find some new agates and fossils. If I'm lucky, see a tornado. But that's kind of the pursuit of excellence of whatever capacity. That is going to give, especially men, happiness, or at least purpose and agency in life. The next thing, put humans first in your life. This is a hard one to do because most people are idiots. All right? But what few people you're going to meet in your life, be it colleagues, friends, loved ones, your spouse, or steady girlfriend, someone you actually love, if they compel you to sacrifice and spend part of your finite life with them because that is the best expenditure of your time, that is a very rare and very high quality human indeed. That for you to spend your one resource on this planet with that person, and that is your optimal use of that time, it says a lot about that person. And so these people are the number one thing in life. Humans are the number one things in life. I've said it a million times before in Poor Richard's Retirement, Curse of the High IQ, or not, maybe that one. It's a running philosophy and theme that the only thing that really matters in life is other humans, because you can have conversation with them. They are dynamic. They are infinite in terms of their personalities, in terms of their characteristics, in terms of their reactions. Whereas, I don't know, this MP3 player, as advanced as a technology as it was 10 years ago, it is finite. There's nothing that can be said about it. I cannot fall in love with that MP3 player. But you can fall in love with a human being. And I don't necessarily mean romantic love, but you love and care for your fellow man as well, like a friend or a brother or something like that. So you can have these relationships, humans relationships with peers and colleagues. That's a huge reward. That was one of the most rewarding experiences in my life, working at the U of M Campus Cop program in college. You have like a brotherhood. You can have friends that you hang out with. Those are really hard to keep because life just pulls everyone away in different directions, families, careers, and most people just don't understand the value of humans. They simply don't. So they're like, oh, it's time to get married because that's what they said to do. And then an actual romantic loved one, which is hard for all smart people, doesn't matter male or female, but women have a slightly better advantage because there are fewer smart women than there are men, just as there are fewer dumb women than there are men. The Bell distribution curve for women is tighter. So women, and it depends on how many standard deviations, but I think if I'd have to look up the statistics, but if you're like 2.5 standard deviations to the right, for every smart woman, there are 3 smart men who are also 2.5 standard deviations to the right of the mean. So women have a little bit better, but even then they're plagued with getting hit up as the hot IT chick or the one girl in the engineering program. So there's a whole bunch of other problems that come with that. But for men, it's very hard for you to, especially at 150, dude. What is that? That's 145 is 3. Holy shit, you're above 3. Yeah, you're in this less than 1%. It's going to be really hard for you. And the other thing is you're just going to have to, again, accepting reality, you may have to date a girl who's less intelligent than you. That's just how it's going to be. So accepting that reality. It's not like you're going to find. And, there was one gal, oh, God, sweet, just a sweetheart, nice, sweet girl, but God, was she dumb. And I'm like, can you? What? And in the end, in hindsight, it's like, you know what? That was good enough. Just to find a girl that cares about you, I mean, that's really, it's like, that's about as good as it's going to get. No, that's the brake line, not the antenna. I mean, just heart of gold and not a lot up here. But she liked me, so. Anyway, that's something that smart people, male or female, you're going to have to run into. It's just, there's a lot more stupid people than there are smart ones, and yes, it would be nice to date a genius and fall in love with, but there's just not that many geniuses, especially with the female persuasion, to go around. Regardless, you're going to want to put humans in your life first, and hopefully you get to share your hobbies and experiences and joys of excellence, pursuits of excellence, with those people. It's like my girlfriend, she comes riding with me on my motorcycle all the time. She hikes with me, and she more or less keeps up. It's like, wow, okay, that's really cool. So always having humans first in your life, that because I know it'll get boring. I've done mountain climbing and hiking and motorcycle riding by myself. All of Alaska I did by myself. It was beautiful, most wonderful thing I ever saw, but it was boring because there was no one to talk to. Because not everyone can be like you, Clary. You're right. Y'all chose not to be. You all chose. Another thing that helps me out a lot is exercise. Exercise, I think it's good from a meditative standpoint. Health obviously too, but it is good for your mentality. Your acuity, I guess, would be another word. And it releases healthy endorphins and dopamine or something like that. So I always have exercise be part of my daily routine. And almost is to the point if I don't do it, I feel guilty and ashamed and I feel kind of down. So I always try and I haven't hit the gym in about a week because I tweaked my left side and then I got sick and had 3 drinks and had a hangover for an entire day. So right now I'm not in a great mood. But exercise that definitely helps. And it did, like, in my worst period of life, I was running 12 miles a day. And that was the only thing that kept me up. I didn't take antidepressants. I didn't talk to a therapist. I didn't talk to some 25-year-old ditz who got her degree and has a master's. You got according to Jung and not Marx, Jung and who's the Freud. What do you think about your parents? It was like, no. You go, you run, you work out, you get some endurance. So that helps out. Then there's just intellectual stimulation. And thank God for this goddamn internet. I consume a voracious amount of podcasts. And not even necessarily politics. I really avoid politics. I do that for a living. And I'm trying to eschew that because life is too short for politics. So I've been going into more like history, comedy, like Bill Burr. He's a godsend. I listen to the Beckloff because it's comic geek speak. I get my nerd on. And then for those of you who read books for whatever reason, you can read books. I prefer to listen to audiobooks, obviously, because why would you read? It allows you to drive. And just getting lost in history. History is kind of I don't know what is soothing about it, but I've found listening to podcasts on history, it gets you educated. And people think, oh, you have a history, he's a historian, he's so smart. It's like, no, you just know a lot of shit that happened in the past. It's like, okay. But history will also, if you can start drawing the corollaries and watch human behavior and learn from it, you can see where history will repeat itself because the normies and the weak links in the world just, hey, like my football. Kate Perry said something, down with Trump. Hey, refugees. Yeah. And you're like, I don't have time to. But history also, I guess, it provides you a little bit of wisdom and context, like, humans are fated to be really fucking stupid. So it kind of confers, like, and it's like a show. You're like, hey, what was the Spanish Inquisition? Or like, I didn't know about the Battle for Novgorod. What happened? Oh, who was Genghis Khan? Oh, that's interesting. So you learn some shit. But you do need to stimulate your mind. Ideally when you're exercising and running. And then the final thing, and this is what I think tortures a lot of smart people, is the aspect of nihilism, and that you truly are finite, and that the future after you die will be like before you were born. There's nothing. And a really scary thing is like, oh God, would there be nothing? I'd just be by myself. No, there's no you around to even acknowledge the nothingness. You're just not there. Which is very depressing and sad, because it's like, this is it. This is all there is. Like, this whole existence that you've had, this experience, like you talking to me now, I see you here on the video and all that. Every waking experience you have, every second of consciousness is just poof, gone. Like, you didn't matter. So what I like to do is evaluate religions to their logical conclusion. And as far as my life philosophy, no one has it. No one knows if the Jews are right. No one knows if the Muslims are right. No one knows if the Christians are right. You have these 5 or 6 main religions, but none of them have come up with conclusive scientific proof as to whether or not. Even the atheists, they speculate there may not be a God. They don't know if there's an... And the only people who I think really acknowledge the reality and accepting reality are agnostics. They're like, maybe. That's about it. I don't know. Maybe. And so that's like, that doesn't answer any questions. Again, some questions don't have answers. This is an important question to answer because you'd like to know if there's something on the other side. The truth is, we don't know. I don't think we're ever going to know. And whereas there's a lot of wisdom in religion, they're also self-serving and geared towards more of legitimizing themselves as government, as leaders of people. So Pharisees and imams and everybody else didn't have to work for a living. That there is no answer. Like, it doesn't really fall. And then I love, at any time, any religious person could come in and prove to me empirically with the scientific method that you're right. Don't point to a text that's 4,000 years old, written by some crazy people in a desert, high on peyote or whatever the hell they were smoking, and saying, hey, like, really? Oh, the burning bush, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, right. Okay, in the desert, right? Okay, let's see a miracle. Let's see something. They're not gonna be able to prove it. So the logical conclusion I've come to is that whatever happens to us after we're dead, wherever we are going, if there's a we, it can't be all that special. And it can't be all that lonely if we are going to be conscious, because 100 billion people went there before. And just like birth, fucking is the most common thing. Everyone thinks, oh my God, I have a child. It's like childbirth is the most common thing. It's like, oh, you fucked. Congratulations. You spread your legs and you gave birth to a child. Big fucking deal. And the only thing more common than, well, just as common as fucking and birth is death. Matter of fact, for every birth, there is a death. Unless you're a Democrat woman and you just like abortions. Ho ho! Anyway, everyone dies. And it's like, well, okay, then if 100 billion people did the unnoteworthy thing of being born and then they die, well, how big of a deal can it be dying? I know it sucks. I'm like, oh, you know, you want to stay alive. But if there is an afterlife, we're going to go to wherever those 100 billion people are. And there's going to be a lot of weak links there, I fear. There's another theory, it's like, oh, it's energy, and somehow you become communal with one. Who knows? Do you lose your sentience? I don't know. But then also it could just be, nah, that's it, that's over, but you won't be around, your consciousness won't be there to mourn the loss. It'll just be over. It'll literally be before, like, you died. I don't know the answer. And anyone below can please tender their theories. If anyone in the religion has, go to CNN and prove it to them. Go to Fox News, say, I have proof. Because the world would really love it. But don't you dare point to your fucking piece of shit book that's over 4,000 years old, written by people high on cod out in the desert. Right? Seeing burning bushes. Or like, hey, I'm a fucking 9-year-old. All right? Empirical, the scientific method. Anyway, so that's it. But the only thing I would add to this is don't hurt people. Because you can't take it back, and that's one thing I learned, and that's my biggest regret in life, is where I've hurt people, unintentionally or not. And there's always an excuse, there's always a reason, but it doesn't excuse it, and it doesn't make you feel any better. So if you can have a guilty-free life, a guilt-free conscience, where you haven't hurt other people, that goes a long way. Because, man, even to this day, man, I'm like, God, and like little piddly shit. Like, there was this kid, I punched him when I was 4 years old, and I broke his glasses, and he was bleeding right here. And even then, I felt guilt. And now I'm like, God, I wish I could find that kid and apologize to him. Why was a 4-year-old doing that? It doesn't matter. Oh, you were 4. What did you know? It's still, no, that was me, and I felt horrible about it. I've done much worse things. So anyway, if you can live a life of not hurting people, those who don't deserve it, because God Almighty, the man can kill all day and you still won't be done with this job. That's another thing. But yeah, that's it. Just accepting reality and then pursuing the best life you possibly can with the best people in your life you possibly can, and then getting your religious or theological understanding of the afterlife to a point where you're comfortable with it. That I've found is how you can be smart and be happy. But man, boy, you gotta envy the ignorant and the blissfully ignorant. You gotta envy the normies. They're happy being stupid, man. They're just my team won a game. Ah. Women reading People magazine, getting pissed off what Rosie O'Donnell said or did. I mean, it's like, wow, I wish I could be an idiot. I really wish that I was so dumb and naive and ignorantly blissful that the biggest problem in my life is what George Clooney said, or something in the media papers. That would be a really kick, like to actually get excited and live in a video game. That'd be like, wow. It would be an easy life. But unfortunately, you with an IQ of 150, which blows me out of the water, you, sir, are going to think about these things more ponderously. And that is my outline, or things for you to consider, or structure by which to consider it. But yeah, it's possible to be happy. A lot of it is letting go. But, putting this, not putting things in life first, but humans. It's not that hard, and I think this is logic. As far as my logic goes, the best way for smart people to be happy. So anyway, if you guys want, I got my book, Curse of the High IQ, related to this topic. You can find that on Amazon.com. I got all my other books you can find on Amazon.com. We got the Clarity Podcast. That's on SoundCloud.com, and my blog, CaptainCapitalism.blogspot.com. So we'll see you kids later. Toots.